George Strait, the man they call the King of Country, has a story that grips your heart and shakes your soul. With over 120 million records sold and 60 #1 songs, his music has ruled the world for decades. But behind the fame lies a tale of struggle, loss, and unbreakable spirit. From a dusty Texas ranch to the bright lights of stardom, George's life is a roller coaster of victories and tragedies that will leave you stunned. Today, we uncover the raw truth about his bond with his son and the heartbreaking moments that shaped this legend's path. Born on May 18, 1952 in the tiny town of Poteet, Texas, George grew up in Pearsall, a quiet place where life revolved around hard work. His parents split when he was young, leaving George and his brother Buddy with their dad, John Strait, a teacher who ran a 2,000-acre ranch. Days spent herding cattle under the scorching sun built George's toughness and love for the land. In high school, he discovered music, not country at first, but rock and roll. He played in a band called the Stoics, inspired by the Beatles and other big names of the 1960s. Those early gigs gave him a taste of performing, but his real journey was just beginning. After high school, George started college at Southwest Texas State University. Life changed fast when he joined the Army in 1971. Stationed in Hawaii, he fell in love with country music, listening to legends like Hank Williams, Merle Haggard, and George Jones. He picked up a guitar, taught himself to play, and started singing. Hawaii also brought him closer to Norma, his high school sweetheart. They married in a small ceremony, building a love that would carry them through fame's storms. That bond became his anchor as his world grew bigger. In 1975, George left the Army and went back to college for an agriculture degree. By day, he worked the family ranch, but at night, music called him. He saw a flyer for a country band called Stony Ridge and joined up. Soon, he took charge, renaming it the Ace and the Hole Band. They played bars and clubs across Texas, mixing old-school honky-tonk with lively Western swing. Crowds loved them, packing dance halls to hear George's smooth voice. Those sweaty nights on stage sharpened his skills and set the stage for something huge. Pearsall's small-town boy was dreaming big, and no one could have guessed how far he'd go. Life on the ranch taught George to never give up. Every chore, from fixing fences to roping cattle, shaped him into a man who could handle anything. Music was his escape, a way to tell stories of love and life. Back then, Pearsall folks saw him as just another kid with a guitar. They didn't know he was destined to change country music forever. His path wasn't easy, though. The road to glory was full of obstacles that tested his heart and pushed him to the edge. The music world didn't welcome George with open arms. In the late 1970s, he traveled to Nashville carrying demo tapes and big hopes. Time after time, record labels turned him down. They wanted slick pop-style country, not his rough, honest sound. Back in Texas, George kept busy, working the ranch by day and singing at night with his band. They built a loyal following, but Nashville's rejection stung. He started to doubt himself, even thinking about quitting music for good. George almost took a job designing cattle pens, a steady gig to support his family. He was ready to walk away, but Norma wouldn't let him. She told him to give it one more year. That advice changed everything. In 1981, MCA Records took a chance on George. They offered him a deal to release one song, just to see what would happen. That song, called Unwound, soared to number 6 on the country charts. Fans went wild for its real, no-frills style. It proved George's kind of music still had a place. MCA signed him for a full album, and he poured his heart into it. His first record, Straight Country, hit the shelves and won over listeners with its simple, true sound. Critics raved, and fans couldn't get enough. George was on his way, and nothing could stop him now. Unwound was more than a hit. It was the start of a revolution. George's music felt like a breath of fresh air in a world full of polished tunes. He drew from old heroes like Bob Wills, mixing Western swing with stories of real life. His songs hit home for people craving something genuine. After Straight Country, he kept going strong. His next album, Straight from the Heart, came out in 1982 and gave him his first #1 song, Fool-Hearted Memory. That moment locked in his spot as a star and showed the world he was here to stay. George stayed true to his roots even as fame grew. He kept his band, the Ace in the Hole, the same guys who'd played with him in tough times. They hit the road hard, playing show after show, winning fans wherever they went. Every mile traveled, every note sung, proved George's love for his craft. Nashville's rejections had hurt, but they made him stronger. He'd fought for his dream, and now he was living it. That struggle shaped him, showing that the toughest roads can lead to the biggest rewards. The 1980s turned George into a country music giant. His albums climbed the charts, each one packed with hits. Songs like The Chair and Oceanfront Property became anthems, loved by millions. From Right or Wrong to Does Fort Worth Ever Cross Your Mind, he captured the heart of honky-tonk life with slow ballads and upbeat tunes. His voice, smooth and warm, made every lyric feel personal. He racked up #1 hits faster than anyone, setting records that still stand. Awards poured in too. He won CMA Male Vocalist of the Year in 1985 and 1986, then took home Entertainer of the Year in 1989 and 1990. Those honors showed he wasn't just a singer, he was a game changer. One big moment came in 1983 at the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo. George filled in for another act and stole the show. His performance hooked the crowd, starting a tradition that lasted years. He kept coming back, drawing huge crowds, some of the biggest in the event's history. Over time, more than 1 million fans saw him there, cementing his tie to Texas pride. Those shows weren't just concerts, they were celebrations of everything George stood for. His music spoke to people's hearts. Songs about love, loss, and good times felt like stories from your own life. Whether it was the sweet words of The Chair or the thoughtful Oceanfront Property, George made every song special. By the late 1980s, he'd done what most only dream of. His records sold millions, his tours sold out, and his name was everywhere. He'd brought old-school country back while making it fresh for new fans. George wasn't just a star, he was country music itself. Then came 1986 and everything changed. George's world shattered when his daughter, Jenifer, only 13 years old, died in a car crash. She was riding with friends when their car flipped, going too fast. Jenifer wasn't wearing a seatbelt and was thrown from the vehicle. She was gone in an instant. The pain hit George and his family like a tidal wave. Already a private man, he pulled back even more, hiding his grief from the world. He stopped doing interviews and stayed close to his loved ones, letting music carry him through. Jenifer's death broke George, but it also showed his strength. He kept making music, pouring his hurt into every note. Just months later, he released Nobody in His Right Mind Would Have Left Her, kicking off 11 straight #1 hits. Fans found comfort in his songs, not knowing the pain behind them. George used his work to heal, turning sorrow into something beautiful. He later said losing Jenifer made him rethink what mattered most: family and love. His music, like I Cross My Heart, spoke of loyalty and hope, values that kept him going. George and Norma leaned on each other, holding tight to their son, Bubba, to keep life steady. He didn't talk much about Jenifer publicly, wanting to keep her memory private. But he honored her quietly, supporting causes for kids' safety. Her loss was a wound that never fully healed, yet George kept moving forward. His fans saw a man who'd faced the worst and still stood tall. Through music, he showed that even the deepest pain can't break a determined spirit. George's bond with his son, Bubba, is one of the brightest parts of his story. Named George Harvey Strait Jr., Bubba grew up on the family ranch, loving the cowboy life just like his dad. From a young age, he was out roping and working cattle, learning the ways of the land. In high school, he shone in rodeo, then joined the Texas A&M team, earning respect for his skill. George beamed with pride watching Bubba compete. They teamed up for roping events, even winning at the George Strait team. Roping Classic, a contest George started. He once said nothing felt better than sharing those wins with his son. Their connection went beyond the ranch. Bubba started writing songs and George saw his talent. They worked together on tracks, starting with Living for the Night in 2009. Fans loved it, and the two kept at it, creating hits like Here for a Good Time. Bubba's words brought new life to George's music, sparking a creative fire he hadn't felt in years. On George's last tour, called The Cowboy Rides Away, Bubba joined him on stage to perform Arkansas Dave, a song he wrote. That night showed their love, not just as father and son, but as partners in music. Whether roping cattle or writing lyrics, George and Bubba share a bond that's rock solid. Bubba's path mirrors his dad's, humble, hardworking, and true. For George, having his son by his side, in life and in music, is a gift. Their story shows how family can lift you up, giving you strength to keep going. It's a reminder that the best moments come from the people you hold close. George Strait's mark on the world is massive. His 60 #1 hits set a record no one's touched, making him one of the greatest artists ever. His tours broke records too, with his 2014 Cowboy Rides Away show in Arlington, Texas, drawing over 100,000 fans. That night wasn't just a concert, it was a tribute to a man who'd shaped country music. People came from everywhere to honor the cowboy who'd kept their music alive. But George is more than numbers. He's a true cowboy, living for the ranch as much as the stage. At home in South Texas, he rides horses and tends cattle, staying close to the land. That life isn't an act, it's his heart. He's passed it on to his grandkids, George Harvey Strait III and Jillian Louise. Young Harvey even sang with him at the Houston Rodeo, performing God and country music. Jillian's starting to sing too, and George cheers them on, letting them find their way, just like he did. His music captures life's highs and lows, from love to heartbreak. Songs like Troubadour talk about growing older but staying true. They hit deep, no matter your age. George's secret is simple. He never faked it. In a world chasing trends, he stuck to his sound, proving real music lasts. His career shows what you can do with grit and heart. He's not just a singer, he's a symbol of standing strong and staying honest. George Strait's story shocks you with its pain and lifts you with its hope. From a small-town kid to a global legend, he's faced it all: rejection, loss, and wild success. His music lives on, touching hearts and telling truths. His life, built on family and faith, shows what matters most. As his songs fill arenas, you feel the bond he's built with fans, one rooted in truth and purpose. George's name will echo forever, not just for his records, but for the way he lived, with courage, humility, and a love for the music that made him a king.